So, some really big news has just been announced by a magazine called Tube Filter, and it has to do with Google Podcasts. Basically, says Google Podcasts is going away because YouTube is going to be the new home for Google Podcasts. Now, I don't know if you have a podcast or a video podcast or not, but in this video, I want to share three things you should know about and think about video podcasting. Now, if you have a podcast, hopefully this will make you think video. And if you're thinking of starting one, then maybe you ought to think video podcast. But the article went on to say that starting in 2024, Google is making YouTube Music its one and only stop for podcasting. So basically, they're putting even more emphasis into YouTube Music, which I think has gotten a little better. I get it as part of YouTube Premium, which if you sign up, you could get it too. Then they go on to say that 23%, this is in a research project for Edison Research, 23% of weekly listeners in the US say YouTube is where they are listening to podcasts most often. So it makes sense if YouTube, I think it makes sense if YouTube already has that much more of the market that they would be going heavier into video podcasting. Now, I think there's a lot of discussion out there about how hard it is, and it doesn't have to be that hard or expensive. And we can cover that in another video. But this one right now, I wanted to tell you the three things that I really think you should know about video podcasting. One, more people watch and listen. So if we go back to this, there's another study by Edison Research, and they say that the number of people listening to video podcast increased by 63%. And I think this isn't a mistake because I had to read this a couple of times. They're listening to video podcasts. So the thing is, if you've got the option and you can turn it on in the background, why not listening to it? Now, this is actually kind of interesting is that YouTube has made it very easy to turn any of your playlist on YouTube into a video podcast. I mean, it's really, really simple. You can just go designate a video, a bunch of videos. You do need to upload a cover image, just like a podcast image. It needs to be square, but it's really easy to do, or you can start one as well. So, just that's something you ought to think about. You can reach more people. Now, how is that possible? Well, if you think about it, almost any platform out there, social media platform has incorporated video. I mean, let's think about it. There's Facebook, there's LinkedIn, there's Instagram, there's TikTok. I'm not a big TikTok fan. There's Snapchat. Pinterest has video. So think of almost any platform out there that you might share content, and there's a video component. So you have the potential now beyond YouTube, which I still think is the best place to be and the biggest platform that gives creators the most opportunity to reach people organically and make money, but it's just there. And another option, another thing you should know is the repurpose potential. Now, you may say, well, Kevin, can't you repurpose an audio podcast? You can, but it's going to be audio. And what I'm not talking about is the fact of what I have seen people do is how, they'll put like an audiogram on it. So I don't know if you've seen this, but it's the graphic where you might hear me talking, but then it's like the little waveform bouncing. To me, that's not really repurposing. That's just slapping a really cool animation on there. When I'm talking about repurposing, I'm talking about taking your video podcast, which could be any length, and then think of this: you can create shorter videos. Now, when I say shorter videos, I'm talking about, let's say you do a 30-minute, 45-minute, hour video podcast. And before you go, well, wait a minute, long form doesn't work on YouTube. Sure, it does. Sure, it does. I mean, YouTube is the home of video of any length. But like if you, for example, do a longer form video podcast, you could cut that down into a shorter video. You could also then take those and cut those into vertical videos, which not only could be for YouTube Shorts, but it could be for Instagram Reels, Facebook has Reels, and any other place. I mean, you could also upload it to TikTok as well. And there's programs that can do that. You can cut it in StreamYard, which is what I'm using to record this right now. You can also do a program like Riverside that will automatically kind of reformat it. And then there's other platforms and other AI tools out there like Opus Clips, which I did a video on. I'll put that down in the description. But literally, you can upload a video, a long video, and it will cut quickly into vertical videos and blogs and articles. Now, yeah, you can also include a audio only podcast into a blog or article, but when you add video, that's a great way to connect with people. So, if you haven't thought about it, really ought to consider adding a video podcast to your component. It can be this honestly, this is an example of a video podcast, but it could be interviews and things like that. So, hope this helps you. If you got any questions, let me know down in the comments, and remember, keep creating. Just do it. I'm Kevin. Thanks so much for watching. Subscribe if you like this. I'll see you next time.